Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Running late, sorry.
Oh, you're good. What's up? How are you?
You're welcome to come. You know, we're happy you're here.
Heard of digging tree roots out of mud. That's
Ew.
what
That doesn't sound like fun. All right,
No,
David, take
I
it.
got them all.
Good for you. All right. So, I guess I'll be calling this community committee to order. In attendance, we have Mayor Hughes, myself, David McNamara, Councilman Benedetti, and Curl. And welcome to anybody who is listening. If we have this live stream, which I don't think we do,
No,
so never
we don't
mind.
want it live streamed. Do you want it live streamed?
That wouldn't hurt anything if anybody wants to listen. I know there's one lady who emailed me this morning about interest in helping with the plantings in the future that will hopefully get started.
Well, if the late
know I
people are on, we'll start a riot.
Well,
That's
let's not
not
do
going
anything
on.
about
Come to-
rioting yet.
We need to come to some kind of an understanding about when we do stream things live, because there ought to be some kind of system regularity to it.
Hmm.
And I don't, that's again, something maybe the communications committee can bring up, but.
Can I say what I want to say?
Absolutely.
I want to get back in the community
Is it
building.
live yet?
Oh no, we're already recording, but I mean, I feel like we are at a turning point of getting into the building. Planning and zoning has not skipped a beat this year, and I'm not sure. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm not sure what we're still waiting for.
Can I ask a question?
Well, that's, whether it's a Zoom meeting or a council meeting, we got to decide whether we're going to have those things streamed all the time or not.
I would say that it's probably safe from a vaccination accessibility standpoint to get back in the building, in all honesty.
Did
But-
we get the outside air put in with the heater and air conditioner?
Yes,
Oh,
that was my
And we're-
understanding.
And I would have no issue. I'd feel perfectly safe going back.
Well, I think
well, we can tell the community that they're perfectly safe now.
right.
That's a big point.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I think the big thing with getting back into the community, and I know this is more communication, so I know I'm just now going live stream. These are probably, this is for, and David, I'm going to take your thunder for a second, but this is the community committee meeting. So the only thing I was going to say is we work in there every single day. There's multiple people in there working. We take as many precautions as we possibly can. Planning and zoning has not missed a beat. We have been in there, I believe, all year. Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, with the exception of maybe one or two. We have the ability to social distance as far as we possibly can. And we do try to wear masks and do the basic things that we need to do at this point in time. So I would really like to see the
Well, it
meetings get back.
Sounds like most everyone is vaccinated.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even want to go down that topic.
No,
Yeah.
I think I can be a jerk and be the one to say this. I think people that have, anybody that wants to currently get it done, I feel like has possibly the ability to do it. I know I was able to get my parents in. I've been able to get, did I lose you? No, okay,
No.
I'm on the wrong screen. I've been able to sign my 18-year-old daughter up for it. No issue, no problem. So I feel like if people, the people on council that has wanted to get it, I believe they probably had the ability to get it. If they don't want to get it, that's their choice. So I would like to see these meetings get back in person with taking the proper precautions. And like I've already said, we're already in the community building every single day between the police officers, admin. We don't have any issues or problems. So I think it's much more productive in person. Zoom has been around for a really long time. And people didn't use this before. People still flew across the country to meet in person. So I would love to
some
start.
of those tests, and then I'll start testing a couple days before the meeting, and then I can be sure, because I'm not getting that darn vaccine.
There you go.
But
So,
I'll tell you-
okay.
Well, the air in the community building is now safer than the air in an airline cabin.
Yeah. Well, I've been on plenty of airlines, so we're still kicking. So
So David, what are we going to talk about here tonight?
yes,
So-
David, you're up.
Well, thank you. So what I wanted to discuss about three things. One being the possibilities of the things as we know them now for the use of TIF funding for funding a lake dredge like we had discussed last year. The second object or the second item would be how to access and the conditions required to access the Mary Yost Plant Fund to get some nice self-maintaining native plants around our village entrance sign. So stone ones that were put up last year, 2 years ago. Lastly, I'd like to see if we can throw together a date to do a lake cleanup. And that should wrap up everything on my mind. If anybody else has anything they'd like to add, that would be more than fine.
That seems like enough.
Yeah.
I know
So
when it comes to the lakes, you know, the mayor and I have talked about this a little bit, and, you know, I don't know if it's well, I think it's our place to maybe start to talk about priorities and, you know, how big of a priority it is for doing the full-blown lake dredging that's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, I think that's something that we just have to come to the realization that we don't have the money for that right now to do it.
that's
You know,
that's exactly
to do the full-blown dredging.
Well, they've been using that line for 30 years, Tony.
well,
Well,
that's
I
exactly
know.
what I was hoping
But
to
what I-
discuss.
We gonna do it another 30 years, are we?
No,
Well,
I,
I think, and I'll speak for about 30 seconds. Our financials are public record. Anybody is more than willing and able to pull up our financials and get that information to find out what we have available and what we don't. As far as the lake projects go, the estimates that we've gotten just for the North Lake is over $400,000. If you use the estimate for that to the South Lake, which is at least double the size, let's just assume, you know, it's a little less expensive.
We're looking at $1.2 million.
I was going to go $1 million just because they're already there and all of that. So, you know,
I said 1.5 4 years ago.
right. So, you know, the moral of the story is, do we have the funds to be able to do a lake dredging? Yes. Do we have the ability to do a building? Yes. Do we have the ability to do both of them at the same time? Absolutely not. We have talked to our financial, this went to a finance meeting, and David, this is getting into exactly what you were asking for.
Yes, the options
TIF
for
funds and all of that. So I'll get into that a little bit. I'm going to pray that I don't misspeak when it comes to this, because I think it's very important as far as borrowing against the TIF money and doing some things. I'm trying to reach out to the Port Authority. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea exactly what I'm doing here, but I know that there are a couple different financing options that we are exploring. But just to go back a little bit, we have X amount of dollars. We do not.
Yes.
When our fiscal team looked at doing a 1.7, 1.8, which is what we have been given the estimate for a new building, and it is not a new building. And I know I'm saying all of this, but it's a live stream, so I feel like sometimes I still have people that have no idea that we're talking about a new building. So, and it's just that they maybe don't have the time to watch some of the videos or read the newsletter or whatever. But
Yeah.
we have gotten several estimates from last year, people looking into this project. So we all feel confident that we're going to be over well over 1.2 million and 1.2 and under 2 million. The estimate that we were given on this particular project, which I believe all of you guys have seen the diagrams, it's nothing spectacular. It is a couple add-ons and some remodeling. It is not a new building. It is remodeling with some additions. It is not a 10,000 square foot building by any stretch of any imagination. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think we're at between 6,000 and 7,000 square feet. Tony, do you know? Does anybody remember? I don't know.
I don't remember, but I
You have
know
what-
that nobody in their right mind would accuse us of building a mansion.
Right. No, and it's not. So this is the basic rooms that we need and all of that. So without going any further into that, what they did is they explored moving forward with that and dredging, just the $400,000 dredging, not the $1 million dredging, just the 400,000. And by year 5, we were in, I'm going to call it the red. It was not anywhere where we needed to be, and that is based on a 5-year plan. So if we were to do both of those projects right now, within 5 years, based on our projections, and our projections are pretty, nobody expected COVID, nobody expected any of that. But we do believe that our projections are pretty good, considering we've already started to see some of the income coming in from the TIF money, how much we're collecting and how much we're getting paid off on, in how fast we believe that we're going to be able to pay that back. And then we've also started to be able to get the RETA tax money, in which we're starting to get an idea of what we really think that's going to look like over the next 5 years. So we couldn't answer those questions 2 years ago. Now we really are getting an idea of what it's going to look like. So I feel like the numbers that the fiscal team has put together, I do not feel comfortable doing both of those projects as alone at this point in time. I don't think it's feasibly possible. So that's the
Okay.
easy way with paying
Right.
payments. I'm just saying it, unless we start cutting something out. So,
I need
what do
my
we-
10 minutes.
what's that?
I need my 10 minutes
So
when you're done.
no, and it's fine. So the moral of the story is, whether we've heard this for 10 years or whether we haven't, we have had deferred maintenance for the sewer projects for how many years? We have an East Shore Court project that we know is going to cost us over $200,000. We want that as a priority. And in order to do that East Shore Court project, in order to do some of the projects that we're doing and getting a building and doing some of that, something has to give. It's
Mhm.
no different than financing in your own house.
Oh,
We want a
understandable.
new roof, we
All
want
right,
new
let's-
kitchen cabinets, we want new flooring, but we can only afford 1 or 2 of those.
Well, let's hear what Joe's got to, give Joe his 10 minutes here.
Well, every once in a while, Tony, you and I get on the same page. This all or nothing thing frustrates me, because, there's two things about the lakes. Okay, they need to be dredged, but basically, from appearance wise, you can't really tell. What's really horrible is all this floating debris, garbage, and so forth. And short of doing a dredge job, it frustrates me that we can't come up with some plan to just simply make them look much more appealing without a whole lot of doing.
Well, and that's what that I think we're going to do this year is, kind of segues into scheduling a lake cleanup, but
Yeah,
just like we did last year, I'm ready to take the heat or grief from everybody for lowering the lakes again this year. But, I think that now that I know how it works and, keep an eye on the weather, we can plan a little bit better and,
Yes.
and try to clean up the area, back there at the north end of the North Lake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I don't
that's the
think-
spot that gets missed, and that's the thing that's causing all the trouble now. More and more people are getting ticked.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and it's the worst part of it. There's
Yeah,
another
so-
side, is that there's a whole nother ravine that people haven't even, you don't really see too much. It's the one that goes to Red Bank Road. There's an area that goes behind the Paws house, and that's a whole nother area that, in the dredging process, it's a lot of work back there. But the biggest mess is at the North Lake. And Joe, was Josh able to get a backhoe or a bobcat down in your backyard?
Yeah, although it tore up
Joe.
everything. But if you can
But he
see,
did get one.
can you see how tore up it got?
Wow.
Well, go slow there.
So
Well-
gentlemen,
The yellow
What-
straw is where all the yard got ripped out.
so what
So-
I'm hearing
But I
from
repaired
Tony-
it.
What I'm hearing from Tony is something that I also agree with, that we had the first major lake cleanup of that level extent in some time last year, and we learned a lot. We accomplished a lot, and I think that with better control of the lake level, which we learned how to do better, I think we can do this again this summer with equally effective results, if not better results. So that's definitely something I think we should look into doing, figuring out a date for, I don't know, late May, early June or whatever.
Well, I'd like to mention
Last
one
time.
thing before the lakes get lowered. If we simply had a small Zodiac or small boat like Aqueduct uses, a lot of this floating debris down at this end could be towed to the other end where it's much simpler to get it out. Most of it's a bunch of floating trees and so on.
Yeah, the ash
Then when
is
you lower
going
the
to be
lake,
polluting lakes forever. But yeah, I think that we have learned a lot doing it last year, and I think that the village was patient with us, doing the lakes up and down and up and down. But I think we'll have better control over that this time, and
Well, you
I
can
think that
have
we will
better
have an even.
control, but
when we learned it
it's
goes
very
better if we
dependent on
pretend the
rain.
north end of North Lake isn't there.
Well, what I was trying
Well,
to
I'm
say is
trying.
that
I'm trying to be
it's,
positive. I think we can have. I think we can do it again this year with a even better ratio, or positive result from the community.
well, in the
So that
days that
being
we, the
said, what's
days that
up?
we advertised were not, I said the days that we advertised weren't really great weather, and we still
I
had a lot of
recall
people
that. Yeah, it
show up.
rained our first big day.
Have
Yeah.
you ever
Sure
done a
did.
job like this, David?
In what context?
Cleaning like the north end of North Lake, the way that it is now, and cleaning it up?
I participated in the lake
He was
cleanup
out there
last year on
last
the
year.
North Lake. Yes, sir. Numerous
No,
times.
I'm talking about the north end of North Lake.
I was at the north end of North Lake a couple times with the village maintenance team, helped dig a few things out, but I'm not sure what you mean by a job like this. I participated in the lake cleanups on multiple occasions. If that is, I hope that is sufficient.
Well, you seem to think we have to have the lake empty to do it. That's not necessary. You can adjust the levels, but I've done work like this before, and it frustrates me that, just nothing happens. It's
I
all or
would,
nothing.
Well,
We spend $1.5 million, or we let all the pop bottles, dirty diapers float in the lake.
it's unfortunate that you're right there where the crap comes
I
right to your
know.
backyard.
Well, one of the things community wise is, some of the demographics are changing. People just, they put more trash down the sewers now.
Well,
A lot. So, that's not a dredge job. It's a little hard to, I don't have hip waders.
well,
A little
Joe,
hard to get into this muck.
I understand your concerns there, Joe, but unfortunately, you're being affected by society's inability to throw stuff away.
Well, I
And
clean it
Sadly-
up.
we,
There's something dead down here again. I got to go find it because it stinks. But, I'm just talking about a little basic cleanup beyond the kind that we did before up here in North Lake, because a lot of this stuff could be towed and removed. It's floating trees. I've
Well-
always looked at that ravine as a way maybe to put the dredging material in there, fill it up. But we don't look for more money either.
well, maybe I think I'd like to see a lake cleanup maybe in June is what I'm thinking.
I would as well. Early June sound well to you, Tony?
I think early June, and because yeah, and then in a couple months, we've tried to do them twice a year before, and tried again this year. Again, what I was trying to say is that how low the lakes get is completely dependent on rain and how many dry days we get, because like I said, I opened up the valve for the dam, or to release the water, and didn't touch it until the end of the year. And the lake, sometimes it would fill up if there was a lot of rain, fill up to as high as it would normally be. It's not until you have about 10 days where it doesn't rain or doesn't rain very much that it gets dry, dries out almost.
Dry
or
enough to
slow
work
as it
in,
can
yes.
get.
Yeah, toward the end of July and August is usually the
That's-
dry period.
What I'm suggesting is that we just tentatively, say we're going to do it in June right now, but
Yeah.
then once we get once I open up the drain, then we'll have a better idea with, watching the weather and we'll, get a firm date.
Madam Mayor, are you still present?
Do we run her off?
No,
Would it be possible to pencil in a lake cleanup for second Saturday in June?
There you go, mid-June.
Would that be
here's
enough
what
time? Would that
the
be enough
easy-
time to get the people to drop off the dumpster, things like that again?
Correct, but I have to tell them when we're dumping it off. So if we tentatively do it for the 12th and we decide not to do it until the 19th, that's a problem. So normally they
You
won't
only
do
need
it
to
there a
give them
week.
about a week's notice.
Yeah, that's usually about the max. So we have to tell them when, or else we have to pay for more. So, and then the only other thing that I'm gonna remind you guys of, and it doesn't matter to me, it's just your guys' thing. In order to advertise it in a newsletter, you have to pick the date. So,
Let's say
and
the second
Right, and
Saturday in
that's it.
June.
The newsletter deadline's like the 25th or 21st.
well, you also have the May one. So if you're not gonna do it until, if you don't have to put it in there this month. I'm just saying that by, I
month.
would say the 21st of May, it'll go out that first week of June. And then you guys can determine whether or not you want to do it like the 12th or the 19th or whatever you want to do as far as, maybe, my recommendation is do the 12th and the 3rd, do a Friday or a Saturday and a Sunday in case you get rained out one day. That's kind of
Yeah,
how I would
like
do it.
call it a weather day because what I'm looking for is lack of rain.
Exactly.
Because if it
Oh, I
rains right
agree.
before, if it
I
rains
think
the day before, you're screwed.
I think it'd be a good idea before we lower the lake to tow some of this stuff to the south end of North Lake, where it's easier to get out of there. As
Yeah,
opposed to trying to use a chainsaw in the quicksand. There's muck here that
And that's part of the issue that, everybody makes this sound really easy, but when you hire companies and do different things like that, getting the equipment down in there is not the easiest thing. And then when you mess up somebody's property, then you have to pay to refix it. And we're already currently dealing with that with someone. So,
that's why for 30 years I did 2 ravines, each one of the size of this lake up at Hoover. And I did them by myself. I didn't hire any companies, but I have my methods. Governments like to work differently, but I'm talking about towing the floating stuff down to where there's easy access to get to it for our cleanup before we lower the lakes. And that because the floating stuff needs the water. Once the north end of North Lake is all muck.
Yes,
You can
As
drain
it-
the water to let it dry out. It may never happen.
and as is
So-
the west end of the South Lake.
So my solution to make it look a lot better would be just tow some of this stuff. Could do that with a small boat and a rope.
Well, I mean, Joe, that's going to involve hiring someone, because I don't know that that's something that that Brian's going to do, Chipper.
So
Well,
let-
when things float, they're weightless. So these large trees that are floating, they're not hard to pull when they're floating.
Well, Joe, I mean, I don't want to get into a debate with you about how easy it is to get the stuff out with the water lowered or not, because
I
some of
said
the things that
easier.
are some of those things that are floating right now by your house after a good rain could end up being at the south, at the southern end of the North Lake, because like you had said, they're floating and 1 minute they're by your house and after a good hard rain, they're down at the other end,
Well,
so.
So let's.
I'm
we
not
can-
trying to be in a debate or be difficult. I'm just trying to be helpful and make suggestions.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's
not
a good
bad-
idea.
it's not
That's
a
anything
bad
I hadn't
idea,
thought
Joe.
of. Let's tentatively, or not, let's schedule for the weekend of the 12th and 13th of June. Let's get a lake cleanup on our agenda. And I'll throw a post up on the Facebook groups about some that it's tentative and whatnot, just to get the ball rolling in the community to be aware of. And
Yeah, and
as we
then
come
make it
close,
the next week, the rain date.
yeah, absolutely, sure. The next week will be the rain date. That's perfect. So, and then when the time comes closer, we can advertise in the newsletter. We can call the dumpster people. And Madam Mayor, if you need someone else to call the dumpster people, if you've got a lot going on, send me the number. I'll take care of it. I'm happy to.
Yeah, they're really responsive, so it takes me
Okay.
a matter of 5 minutes, as long as somebody reminds me and tells me, for sure, that will not be an issue. They've been great to work with.
Excellent. So we got a lake cleanup on the 12th and 13th of June, or the 19th and 20th of June.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That wasn't so painful. So let's move on to
I might have a wedding. I'm gonna have to look at my calendar.
well,
But I've made every lake cleanup. I like to show up.
yeah, and we love having you.
Have the
So
wedding in your backyard, Joe.
make them help.
Well, come on over and look.
Yeah, make
it's
'em help
all
out.
torn
Bring 'em
up, but
down.
I'm getting toward the end of this project. 2 people. Wasn't it 200,000? I think I got 1,200 in it right now.
So Mary Yost Plant Fund. I think I remember last year it being discussed that there are like certain conditions of things we can or cannot use it for. Is that a correct assumption, or am I
Right.
misremembering something?
No, the Mary Yost Plant Fund is for plant materials only. You can't pay for labor to plant the plants. And it was Mary's intention that they be, perennials, not annuals.
Perfect.
Trees, shrubs, and perennials, I guess would be the best way to describe it.
Perfect.
And
That's
it's
exactly
it's
what
one
I
of
want
those
to
things
use.
where the money's already, set aside in a fund. So council doesn't need to make any kind of approval, technically to use that money. So we don't have to, go for council's approval, but, and the mayor's always, gotten people involved when she's going to spend money out of the fund, but that's, all
There's Reese's up there.
the only, the mayor's the one that authorizes the spending of the money.
Yes.
And I will
Yeah.
authorize that. I'm just saying, if it's what it's supposed to be.
Like you would said, David, is being it's spring right now, to me, I think we need to get some daffodils at all of the entrances, and maybe even come up with some kind of a uniform plan for the monuments at Minerva Lake Road or Cleveland Avenue and Minerva Lake and South and Ponderosa.
Yes.
Come up. I need to come up with
That is
like
exactly
you know,
what I'm talking about. We need to beautify it. Put in some plants that will, once they're put in, that they'll more or less take care of themselves, the perennials. And ideally native plants that are, healthy in our environment, help our pollinators, don't become invasive. There's a woman who emailed me this morning who I feel will be a great help in this project. I also know a few other people in the community who are very knowledgeable and willing to help out with planning native garden elements for our community. So I do not doubt that we have the manpower for it, or the woman power in this regard. But we just need to get moving on it
I don't think
before.
it's an issue of finding people to help out with it. I think the issue for me is what exactly do you want to do at each one of the monuments? What kind of plants? At least that's what I envision the next conversation being, because we've already talked about doing and you may know this or not, David, back in the green spaces, a big area of sunflowers, and
I remember that. Yeah.
some like black-eyed Susans and daisies. I think those are all the types of things that come back every year. You plant them. Those are, I think, I don't know what, I'm not sure what everybody's hang up is with native plants. I don't know what native plant is, or, or Daisy's native plants or black.
Yes.
Are those all-
To be
are those all
incredibly brief,
acceptable?
native plants help our pollinators and they don't disrupt native ecosystems by imbalancing or becoming invasive. Long story short, a plant that's supposed to be here is much better than a plant that's not supposed to be here.
Well, I guess I'd like a
The
plant
plants
that's a
around the
little bit-
monuments, you don't want to get anything that's going to grow too big.
That was the next step. I would prefer plants that don't get any taller than, say, a foot or so. And
Yeah.
within the next day or so, I suspect I can get you a list of beautiful native plants that will serve the purposes of being short, pretty at different times of the year, and self-maintaining once established within,
Right.
normal weather parameters.
Well,
Well, I would
next thing,
say, that,
next thing you'll be
I'd
putting
like to-
LED lights on them.
well, getting a light at Ponderosa is a whole, I might as well tell you, David, because you live right there.
I live on Ponderosa, yes.
Right, getting a light at Ponderosa Monument is not going to be easy because it had come, in the past, there was a light there, but the electricity for that comes from that office building. And if you notice, the electricity going to that sign doesn't work anymore. So in order to get light to the monument on Ponderosa, we would have to do some work in the 2999 building, and get cooperation from them, unless we're able to find some kind of a solar powered light for
Yeah, the
Ponderosa.
solar's getting better. The technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are, I can have a list of native self-maintaining short, pretty plants. I think
Well, I would also
Wife
like to
actually
say-
just went to go look at that stuff because that's kind of something she's been quite focused on this spring too.
But the monuments have a backside to them that could use, I just want to point out that, that's the thing I look at the Ponderosa Monument is you could plant some tall stuff behind it.
I had thought that as well,
know,
or even at
You know,
some
so
point.
when you say just short stuff, I'd like to see something tall and then something, shorter on the backside of it. And then like you were saying, having small stuff in the front so it doesn't cover up the.
Absolutely.
lettering.
And if you guys and I'm gonna yell so the wife can hear me. But yes, we can also add on larger plants for behind the signs. Okay, message has been conveyed.
There
She
you go.
keeps this massive list of different plants, different native plants on height, flowers, blooming times. I will provide council and planning and zoning with some real good stuff in real short order that we can get this moving. Because seeing those, they're real nice stone, but they'd be even nicer surrounded, or not surrounded, but accented with some nice stuff.
Well, and I think
Well,
the
they're
Mary
not
O's
only
Fund
nice
is
looking, they
perfect for
actually
this.
perform. Oh, I'm sorry, Tony.
That's all right. That's why we got to get these meetings back in the gosh darn community building because this Zoom stuff is driving me nuts. I know I like to interject things, but it's almost impossible without. All right.
At any rate, I can have that list for everybody in short order. My in-house environmental consultant is working on that right now, actually. Or my in-house horticultural consultant.
Ask if the other ones are in sun or shade.
To the best of you guys' recollections, are the other signs more sunny or more shady? I only really go by the Ponderosa and the Cleveland one.
Well, I mean, it gets sun at the end of the day because it's on, it's covered with trees and it isn't going to get it till, when the sun sets in the west. So I would say it's partly shady there.
The part shade, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we know the Ponderosa one's going to be more full sun area. But yeah, well, I'll get that stuff going, and
There
hopefully
is-
we can.
I think there's some hospices that are at Ponderosa that are I guess you'll have to, once they deal with, but plan around.
Oh,
That's the only
hostas don't
thing-
hurt anything. You're fine.
Well, I'm just saying they're there, and
Mhm.
I don't know that there's anything at Minerva Lake Road. Like that
Yeah, I
comes
mean,
up
there are
annually.
so many options we can
Right.
do for this.
You mean
So,
at
yeah.
Route 3?
I'll get a list together that I will present to council. And we could use in-house labor to plant it. Most of these plants, they would come from two or three of the local nurseries around here. We have,
Well, we
I
have
think
plenty of people. You've met Lisa, I'm sure, and there's
yes,
plenty
Lisa,
of people that can
Lisa's
help
the
with
one
that.
who emailed me. I would love to have Lisa involved in this because I know she has such
It's
interest
a
in this.
wealth of knowledge.
Yes.
Well, the quick thing that I'll interject is, we actually have Minerva Flora, which Lisa's a part of. And that would be who I would, which has to do with MPCA and all of that as well. So, I mean, that would be also the group that I would reach out to, because, I don't want to step on toes, and, they do a lot of the courts and different things like that. They clean those out. They do different things as far as that goes. I know that they've done many of the areas in the village. So that would be the other thing, just to try to
Yeah,
involve them a little bit.
Well,
Maybe you guys don't want to.
I don't
but
know that I'm not sure that Minerva Flora is much more than Bob Gale and Lisa. I think
Exactly.
Bob
So-
Gale and Lisa make up Minerva Flora.
I just don't, I mean, I would love to have Lisa and Bob and Gail, whoever these individuals are. I've met Lisa. I've not had a chance to meet the other two.
Well, the reason
would
that I would
love-
also point that out is Bob has been very involved in knowing exactly. I don't know if he knew Mary Yost, but I know that he is the one that supplied me with all of the information. So I
Okay.
think that he would be. I think that we really need to involve Minerva Flora on exactly what we plan. At least give him the opportunity to
Excellent.
be a part of it or not.
By all means, that sounds wonderful. The only caveat I would have to that would be working with, a few people is great, but do we want, 10, 20, 30 people, because that I could see a paralysis.
I'm
happening
telling
there.
you that Minerva Flora isn't anything more than Bob and Lisa.
Okay, well,
Actually,
that's fine.
there's very few.
That is Minerva Flora.
Yeah, then let's,
Right.
I don't have anyone's contact information besides Lisa, but I will send her an email at the end of this meeting about our plans at this point, such as they are.
Well, I think it's nice that we at least have the illusion of including as many people as possible. Community on the things they really do anything or not.
Okay, so those are the main three things that I wanted to cover. Do either of you guys or Madam
I
Mayor, do you
don't
have anything you'd
know
like
that
to?
there's anything that we need to talk about with the pool.
I don't
mean,
think there is. Nothing has been brought to my attention. Madam
No.
Mayor, do you
Mayor, is
do you
there
think about
something?
the pool that needs added or discussed?
No, at this point, I've met with Rick West, I've met with John, I've met with John and Brian down there on, process. We have the baby pool is pretty much ready to go. We're working on getting the sod out there, so we're working on getting the water back on. I have an estimate to get the walls repainted and some different things like that, because
Excuse me.
all of the stuff is coming through the walls again. So I believe it's a $7,000 estimate to fix a couple of the thing down at the bottom, paint again, and do a couple things for Rick to get ready for this season. I think we're gonna just move forward on that because we already have the money budgeted for that.
Excellent. Well then,
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, no, I've been meeting with all of them. I've been doing all of that. He's working on the lifeguards.
What about getting the water? I mean, have we, the equipment for attaching to the
It's
fire?
my understanding that we have the equipment to do it, and Rick is going to still do it this year. I'm going to be coordinating with him very shortly to make sure that that is the case, because if not, I definitely am going to have, I'll have a backup plan. So it's my understand. I know for a fact he has the equipment to be able to do it. We know how to go get the permit to get the water. And then I just need to verify with him that he is ready, willing, and able. And I am told that I was told that he has the equipment, so he would be able to do it. So I have no reason to believe that we're gonna have a problem with him getting the pool filled. So the pool's moving right along. We've got quite
We
a
need
few memberships already. We have no direction from Franklin County at this point. And yeah, as far as I know, we're good.
Does there need to
What
be,
was the mention last night about limiting memberships?
So last year we had to cut the memberships off in order to not go in the hole on the pool. Long story short, if you have a bunch of members and they're the only ones coming into the pool, we would have lost about $50,000 last year. So we cut memberships off and people had to pay for daily passes. If it weren't for the daily passes, I mean, we actually, if we didn't break even, we made money last year. We've never done that. Tony, I think you'll agree with that.
Well, no, we have.
I have
What-
to digest
we haven't
that one
made
because
money before, But we've always had a lot of daily passes. I mean.
We've always had a lot of daily passes, but because of the way we did the memberships and the time slots, we took in quite a bit of money on each and every day. The other problem that we had with memberships is people were signing up for time slots and then not showing up. So if we do have to do it, there's a chance that we may implement a different program this year, and I am looking into this program, meaning that in order to sign up for a pool slot, you will have to prepay and they are non-refundable. People do it, but at least that way, it'll stop people from signing up and not showing up.
okay. So that sounds excellent then.
At this
is there anything in there about residents getting preference over non-residents?
As far as memberships go, no, there's a discount for a non, but we really didn't have much issue with members getting in versus non-members getting in. It was very rare because there were enough time slots throughout the day. We had very little complaints that people couldn't get in that were members, but again, that's why we limited the memberships. Because I didn't want that problem. I didn't want people not being able to get in. We stopped the memberships at 140 last year. And if we have to do, no, we do not, it's whoever signs up first. Simple as that. I put a couple days out at a time so people couldn't take advantage of it. I did it at different times of the day. I did things to where people couldn't just sign up for different time slots. You could only sign up for one time slot a day. And all I can tell you is there's probably nobody hoping more than I am that we do not have to do that this year.
Well, if the state legislature has their way, which they already have, looks like everything will be over within less than 90 days, restriction wise. So
I have a question. I'm just curious because my kids and I, a number of times I've joined memberships and then, it's like $300 or $400 or something like that. Then we ended up going to the pool 2 or 3 times. And so how do memberships lose money? I'm just,
Because the quick version is when you had certain time slots, if you just sold memberships, the problem is you are rare. We had families of 5 and 6 that were coming every single day.
okay,
and
that's,
you have
that's what
that,
I said.
Well,
and-
that only applies with this when you have to limit the number of people.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And if there's no limit in the number of people,
And
I
we
don't
will not
see-
limit memberships. You are correct, Tony.
Right.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Right,
limit
this was just-
memberships that way.
Limited memberships was just because of the COVID
Yes.
situation.
And
So
because
is
we
there
were,
any idea as to when we will find out if there are gonna be? We
no,
just gotta play it by ear.
I'm watching almost every single day. They just announced graduation. They just announced prom. So all I can say is it's coming, or there's no interest in doing it, or they're assuming we're going to do it exactly the same way as last year. So I don't know.
Are the other pools all opening this year?
Yes, I have seen Hilliard. I have seen numerous pools have announced they will be open. Highlands Pool in Westerville will be open. According to the information that I have seen on Facebook. So I guess I should only, take that as far as you want. But I am pretty confident that a majority of the pools will be open this year.
that's the
Okay.
impression I was getting as well.
Yeah.
From other sources I follow.
Yes.
So that is really it seems like everything is going about like it should. I will go ahead and contact Lisa on the email she sent me about roping in some of her Minerva Flora buddies into this program. I don't know where the wife went. She's off probably testing. I think she's testing soil pH by what I saw her grab before she left. Of the Ponderosa sign. And I will make a Facebook post about the lake cleanup for the second or possibly third weekend of June.
Perfect.
I think we accomplished a fair bit, guys.
Works for me.
All
Any,
right.
any more
I-
progress on the walking pass, David?
Huh?
You had brought up at one time the walking pass.
What,
I must say, I don't recall bringing up walking paths. I know that we're having some asphalt work done at the community building.
No, are you talking about like the Jordan Road connector, or are you talking about some of the connector possibilities, or are you talking
Oh,
more just?
Yeah,
those- Those
mean,
are the
there's-
requests going into.
There's an
2020.
elaborate, sophisticated system in Westerville of walking paths, trails, and they're all nearby. And now the new section has some walking paths, and there was mention by somebody not too long ago about looking into connecting them.
I think there's a big, huge desire and wish, and any other word you want to use. With the new, and I'm just gonna say this, with the new schools going in, I would love to see a walking path go down through Minerva Lake Road. I know Tony has some interest in getting some walking paths closer to the pool area from the old section to the new section.
Tear up, you'd have to tear up a 100-year-old tree every 15 feet.
And, for safety of kids, I think that that's something that's really still something worth looking at. Kids walking down
It's in
a
Peter
narrow road.
Jones.
But, so, you're gonna fight the tree versus safety versus convenience versus all of that. And I don't know that it's anything that anybody in council, especially this particular council, wants to battle. And it's not gonna be an easy project because again, you would need it all the way down. And I'm only talking Minerva Lake Road, and the first words, and within 30 seconds, you had to hear that you would tear down a tree. So how well do you think that is gonna be perceived?
Well, that's. a
Well,
whole-
I'm not, the community is not a monolith. Not everybody is me.
Right. Well, but I'm just saying that is still going to be an issue. So I think that's why nobody really wants to tackle it. So it's not going to be, let's just put a pathway right through here. It's going to be, you're not alone. There are several people that are the same way. And it's just at what point, then you start looking at, and I'm just going to say this, we just got through saying that we don't have the money to do the lake. So how do we invest in money to do that? We would need grants. We need the manpower to start looking into grant options. That's typically going to be 2 years down the road. Do I think we would have a good possibility of being able to get a grant for dealing with the schools and getting walking paths to the school? Yes, I think that there would be a great opportunity to be able to get the money, but there's also going to be a battle of getting it done because you're going to have a lot of people that do not want it, not in my front, not in, do it on the other side of the road, not on, and we wouldn't, my opinion is you wouldn't do it on both sides of Minerva Lake Road. It would be on one side or the other. My
Mhm.
opinion is whichever one didn't affect as many properties or as many trees but is it equal? I don't know, but it's something that I have great interest in talking about. It's something that I have great, I think it's needed. I think it's wanted. I think, it's needed and wanted from people that it's not going to affect. So to answer your question, Joe,
I wasn't trying to suggest we go do it right away.
no, but I think it's
Start
something that
looking
needs done
at
right
it.
away. It would be great to have it. I do. I mean, I love the idea of getting something like that done.
It's
There's a
on-
lot of
it's
planning.
Part of the master plan. It's part of the plan. We have, defined that we want to work on pathways. But it's not, and I think that's one thing we can take away from tonight's meeting is that, we only have enough money, have the money to do so many things right now.
Mhm.
But I want to, reassure everyone that pathways is on the master plan, to try to do
Yeah.
that. And
I recall the first meeting I called for this here discussing the community wishes from my straw poll on Facebook, and I was satisfied that I know that planning and zoning has a master plan that does involve a lot more path access, so.
And speaking of that, because tonight, that's tomorrow night's meeting is for me. I think that this week I got them just about every night of the week.
Oh
but
my
we also
gosh, we have
planning-
planning and zoning?
Don't we have it tomorrow?
Oh, for the love of Pete.
I'm sorry, I don't want to, I thought we did, but
No, it's the 21st.
Heavy lies the crown, I suppose, for you guys.
I guess at least one night off.
Well, don't worry, we got plenty
I'll look
next
at
week
that.
too.
Oh, we got
Or maybe
streets
I
on
said we
Thursday.
can't.
Well, if there's nothing else new, I think we've accomplished what we need, or what I sought out to accomplish tonight. Is there anything else anyone would like to add?
See ya.
All right,
That's
well,
all I-
Ace, I wish everybody a wonderful night. I'll get those emails shot off and that post made on Facebook.
All righty, thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.